And I said to the Japanese trade representatives, and these were the top people, we concluded the one deal, Doug.
President Donald Trump says that the U.S. has officially agreed to a massive new trade deal with Japan, which is considered one of the country's largest and most important trading partners. Japan has formally agreed to invest a total of $550 billion, 407 billion pounds, in various sectors of the U.S. economy, while its exported goods sold to America would now be taxed at a fixed rate of 15% when they reach the country, a rate significantly below the previously threatened 25% tariff that Trump had earlier warned about. Trump further said on social media that Japan would now open up its economy more broadly to a wide range of U.S. goods, including American-made cars, heavy trucks, rice, and certain agricultural and food products that Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba warmly welcomed the major announcement, saying it was the lowest figure to date among all countries with consistent trade surpluses with the U.S. I just signed the largest trade deal in history. I think maybe the largest deal in history with Japan, Trump proudly touted during a White House event held on Tuesday evening. They had their top people here, and we worked on it long and hard. It's a great deal for everybody involved. I always say it has to be great for everybody. It's a great deal, he confidently added. Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba said on Wednesday that the agreement would effectively mean U.S. tariffs on vehicles and auto parts would be reduced to 15% from the previous 25%. However, the newly agreed tax is still above the 10% rate that Trump had levied earlier on Japan and several other countries when he temporarily suspended the higher so-called reciprocal tariffs between the months of April and July at a significant portion, nearly a quarter, of Japan's total exports to the U.S. originates from its critical and strategically vital automotive sector, which alone accounts for almost 3% of the country's overall economy. In the year 2019, the total value of Japan's automotive shipments reached a massive $410 billion, 300 billion pounds. According to the statistics provided by the U.S. International Trade Administration, Ishiba stated, "We were the first in the world to reduce tariffs on cars and auto parts without imposing any kind of quantity restrictions. UK manufactured cars that are sent to the US are currently taxed at a lower 10% rate when they arrive at American shores. But this preferential treatment is limited by a quota of 100,000 vehicles." Ishiba further added, "The agreement does not include any reduction of tariffs on the Japanese side, indicating that Japan's import duties remain unchanged at U.S. car makers. However, we're not happy at all with the finalized deal, which cuts tariffs on Japanese imports while continuing to impose a steep 25% tax on imports coming from their plants and suppliers located in neighboring countries like Canada and Mexico." Matt Blunt, the current president of the American Automotive Policy Council, a prominent industry group representing major U.S. manufacturers such as Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, strongly criticized the Japan agreement by calling it a bad deal. The BBC has formally contacted both the White House and Japan's embassy in Washington, D.C., for further details and clarifications about the trade agreement. Meanwhile, the U.S. also officially announced new trade agreements with the Philippines. Under the new terms, U.S. imports coming from the Philippines will be taxed at a rate of 19% when they reach American ports. Bringing its main tariff rate down to 15% is Japan's best compromise at this stage. Shigito Nagai, a senior economist from the prominent research firm Oxford Economics, told BBC News in an official comment. The planned investment in the United States by Japan, which was included as part of the joint announcement, will be a huge boost to restore the U.S., Nagai noted, adding that it fits perfectly with Trump's broader narrative of reviving American manufacturing and creating more domestic jobs that in a strongly worded letter sent to Japan earlier this month. Trump had threatened to impose a steep 25% tariff on the country's exports to the U.S. if a new trade agreement was not finalized before August 1st, just above the rate he originally announced during his so-called Liberation Day speech delivered on 2 April. The April tariff plan, which proposed new duties on multiple U.S. trading partners across the globe, was later paused for a total of 90 days following widespread global market turmoil. This temporary suspension allowed Tokyo's senior trade representatives crucial time to enter into detailed negotiations with their counterparts in Washington. Japan is currently ranked as the world's fourth largest economy, trailing only behind the United States, China, and Germany, and positioned ahead of other major nations like India, the United Kingdom, and France. According to data from the World Bank, Japan's benchmark stock market index, the Nikkei 225, surged more than 3% higher on Wednesday in Tokyo, with particularly strong gains recorded for shares in major motor industry giants, including Toyota, Nissan, and Honda, in response to the positive trade news. The apparent breakthrough deal comes at a politically sensitive time, as Prime Minister Ishiba is currently under mounting pressure to step down after his ruling Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, lost its majority in the country's upper house during the national elections held over the weekend. The LDP had already lost its majority in Japan's more powerful lower house in a previous setback that occurred last year, further weakening Ishiba's domestic political standing.